what I'm talking about. We talking about me. I can't take credit. It's God given. Yeah. Let's talk about me here a little bit. Why do people wonder about my intentions? And why do people ask me so many questions about how I made it to the top? About all the times I made those teams defensive stops. They say, yo, coach, there's no stopping the juice. And when I'm on the field, I'm like a lion going loose. You better shoot me with a tranquilizer dart. Don't be fool, stupid. I'm not a Simpson named Bart. I'm not a cartoon. This silly baboon, like a tycoon in the state of monsoons. Can't you see the only way I live my life is large? And I got the most games with 200 plus yards.
Oh my God. It sounds like Dion. It's come out in 2006. But it sounds like him, though, in all the Twitter AX
But
world.
it sounds like Deion Sanders talking, though, too, if you really listen to it. It's got that Deion twinge.
Back in Buffalo, it's like 1, 2, 3. When we needed the big play, the ball came to me. So all you player haters and you sucker MCs, you better get on your knees and get some of these. It's an easy transition. It's like a sixth sense or an intuition. So now it comes down to just one decision. I'll be going up the middle while you suckers be blitzing. To the 50-yard line, leaving all you behind. Then I hit the sideline. Better hit your rewind. I'm out here just
Wow. That's crazy because Kevin said it reminded him of this song right here. And it is in a way.
It's that 80s
Yeah.
rap sound.
But this was 2006, I think. The rap came out.
Because remember, OJ, after the lawsuit came out that he lost, like $33 million, he had to come up with that money. So he was like trying to start reality shows. He was trying to do rap records. There was a lot of, and he's also starting all these like shell companies so he wouldn't have to pay it out.
Right.
And by the way, even though he's dead now, I'm told that the
$100 million, I think, is what he owes.
yeah, like they're not gonna, the Goldmans aren't going to see a dime.
Did he ever pay him anything?
Very little.
The Heisman, they got that.
He didn't get much though.
All right. Well, wow. That's
Ron Goldman, I guess, tweeted out or made a comment today about it. He says it's no big loss for the world, but just for another reminder that I lost my son.
yeah. It's terrible.
Yeah.
For the rest, yeah. There probably isn't a day that goes by that he doesn't think about that.
Yeah.
It's, probably a day that, you know.
In fact, after this, I had a boss who actually flew out to Brentwood and sat down and convinced Fred Goldman to come to Rochester and do a talk show in the middays for WHAM. And he actually did it for about a month, but it really didn't catch on. But he wanted to convince him that, like, this is your chance to become this big talk show host and star out of this tragedy. And it never really came to fruition.
Oh, that makes my skin crawl. It makes my
I can tell you who the boss was, too.
No, I don't know.
We don't have to do it now. I'm just
No,
telling you.
I don't need to know. I'll tell you what. There's it could have been cathartic. I went to school with Jennifer Kuhn, who was tragically murdered at St. John Fisher. Her father got into politics as a result of that. It probably was very cathartic to be able to talk about your daughter, do something in her memory, and try to make people's lives better in some capacity. Mm-hmm. Maybe the same thing with Goldman. The only thing that I don't like is the boss going to seek that guy out and go, hey, let's make some money. You know what I mean? Because the station will profit as well.
Yeah.
And it's a business, and there's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. There is nothing wrong with that at all. I worked in radio for a long time, and I still respect radio to this day. I do believe at some point big corporate radio will go away, and you'll have small stations again. I don't mean small stations, smaller groups,
yes,
but stations that better serve the communities they're in, right? Because they don't have to answer to a board corporate sort of thing. But that aside, I just think that, my God, there's something about profiting off a tragedy that just does not sit well with me. Like, if I were in that meeting, my eyes would be as big as saucers going, I don't even know what to say to that.
And I don't think that anybody questioned it. They
look,
flew him out.
Maybe I'm wrong. I just because I kind of gasp at it now, I don't know. Maybe it was a great. Look, Kato Kaelin got a fucking talk show. Yeah, he was on a radio station in L.A. Yeah. It was terrible.
Well, he felt this gentleman felt that he could bring Fred in. Fred would have a platform to talk about.
No. I get it. I get the theory of it. It's the same thing. That's why I drew the parallel to Coons. There may be a case where it's cathartic for him, and maybe you bring some good out, and maybe we start talking about changing laws, or I don't know. I have no idea. There's just something about I couldn't be the guy to approach the man who had.
There are just people that don't have that common sense, or they just can shut it down and just see the dollar sign at the end of the wall.
I mean, look, this could be somebody saying, hey, this would be a guy, and he's well-spoken, and he's been out in front of cameras. And it's a name, and he looks good. I just couldn't, Danny, I couldn't be the boss to go out and make that call because I couldn't go up to someone and go, listen, we all know you because you had an unspeakable tragedy in your life at the hands of someone the world has loved, beloved. I just couldn't do that. There was something like, I don't know. I call it profiting off tragedy. I guess everybody, you could say that to a certain extent. That I always found Jerry Springer to be a very smart guy. I just found the show repulsive because to me it felt like it was just profiting off of the tragedy of people. I watched a few, but there were times where I would find it, and I know this sounds really weird, right? Because maybe you think differently than me. I found it very upsetting when I found people like throwing chairs and going at each other. And I'm like, I don't think this is, I think it's trumped up a little bit for TV, but if that's how people are behaving, why aren't we trying to help them instead of encourage them?
You do the 315 news of the week.
Well, 315, yeah. I mean, you could call me a hypocrite.
Billy.
You could call me a hypocrite, I'm sure, I guess, but I feel like I never wanted to, like, I'll poke fun at it, but I always say, as that lady said to you, from that lady, let me explain. The woman who was busted in Minnesota allegedly having sex with underage kids, and we reached out to her. I said there's always another side to the story. I believe there's another side to the story. I would love to talk. I love talking to people. I think every human has a story. I think every human wants to be heard. I believe that. And maybe that's not true. That's my opinion.
Well, CMF, we would always seek out the other side of the story.
Yes,
that was what we were known for.
I like to find the other side of the story.
And we'd find them actually pretty endearing most of the time.
Yes. So, the throwing the chairs and all this stuff, I found that upset. I wasn't looking for that, but I'd like to hear the other side of the story, because some people, and some of them were hysterically funny, and yes, we were laughing at them, so maybe that's just as bad. I don't know, but I guess in my mind, maybe I'm a psychopath. I was able to kind of, walk that line and go,
we've peeled those layers back and we've determined.
Oh, gosh. Like, there was that one time where that guy got busted for being married twice.
Yeah.
And didn't realize it. He came on the show. Yeah, I'll tell my story.
Yeah. And Bobbitt showed up one morning because he was working construction in Buffalo.
It was right before Christmas.
He just came walking in.
Hey, we know John Wayne Bobbitt. He's working on a job with us. You want him to come into the studio? So we're like,
sure.
Okay.
I'm going, yeah, sure.
So
he shows up.
First guy, he beat Tommy there.
Yeah, he did.
He walks in. He said,
like 5:45. He walks in.
I go. You can't sit there. That's Tommy. That's Tommy's chair.
I couldn't believe it.
Like, dude, he's sitting. Hey, you can't sit there. So he's got a Sabres jersey on.
Yeah,
and he's trying to make jokes, and none of us are laughing.
I mean, he was.
You made Danny move. You wouldn't move him yourself.
I had my own stuff to worry about.
I don't.
Billy couldn't make Bobbitt move.
I don't remember. I might have.
Handle it.
I probably.
Well, there was another guy in the studio that didn't want to give up his chair either, and we had to force him out too.
It's a late grade.
Tommy got pissed off. He's like, "Bro, I told you, go over there and sit over there."
Who was that?
It was Pat.
Oh,
because Pat because kept jumping in that one extra chair, and we're like, no, it's about the listeners. Every Christmas we'd have a listeners show where we'd invite all the people who called the show all the time.
Yeah,
and we'd have a blast. I mean, now it would drive the other 4 stations nuts.
Oh God, we were getting drunk. We were getting loud. Tommy would start losing his mind after.
Yeah, and then Jay Fry showed up with a crew. He showed up with 15 people. They're taking pictures.
I got to tell you, for whatever reason, and this is the tragedy, I think, of the human experience. I'll call it that, because I think everybody has that. You focus on something, and I focus on all my push to basically be accepted. That's really what it was. My push to be accepted by Entercom's management and prove that I could do this. So everything in my mind, it was a struggle, it was a fight, it was a this. When I sit with you and I remember, I go, God damn, that was some of the funniest, greatest radio I ever did. Had you asked me, shows after that I was part of were much easier because I didn't have to fight the battles with management. At that point, I just, and I had people that were pretty amenable and easy to work with, and it was fine. Not that anybody wasn't, but Tommy could get prickly and things. It was actually, but it was fucking incredibly great. That was a great show. And their version of it now today that they do is great.
Fantastic.
But I just go, holy shit.
We were the last show to actually do like a man on the street bits, live, like real, authentic theater of the mind radio.
Yeah.
And that's gone now.
Yeah.
In morning radio, you don't like people said it turns out.
I have to be honest with you, and I know it sounds maybe because I worked in the industry for so long. I certainly appreciate talent and talk and all that stuff. I'm so focused on here and other projects. I'm trying to, it doesn't matter. There's a lot of other things. I'm spending a lot of money to buy things and get more stuff in here and flights and trying to book something for the beginning of May. And I don't even think of that world as much as I used to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think of that world and I don't listen. And a lot of times now it's just, I enjoy the music and somebody said to me, I hear you talk about Sirius XM. Any music platform, that's the one I have, and I have it on everything. I have it on my TV at home, and I have it on my iPad, my phone, in my car. I like it. I happen to like certain channels on there, and I don't listen to a whole lot of talk outside of the talk that we do, and I do listen to that. Anyway, here's something, since we're talking about life. So Danny had sent me earlier this week a bunch of a young guy who goes around and talks to people, and I'm going to say between the ages of 60 and 100, kind of about their life, what would they say to their younger selves and all that. So today with Jack Foy, after he was done with Copcast, I had a few seconds and I asked him, Jack Foy, how old are you right now today?
98.
So what is your secret to being 98? Everybody's looking for sort of that magic elixir, right, to live a long life. 98 years.
Yeah, probably booze and wild woman.
If you could go back in time and have a conversation with your younger self, what would you tell him?
Oh, gosh. Well, I tried to be a rather devout Catholic. And I would advise them to stick to their religion, whatever they have. That too much, that don't believe everything you read in the newspaper or hear on television, because a good percentage of it is a lot of baloney. And depending on which station you're listening to, they'll have the opposite. Another station will have the same story, but everything's just the opposite in it.
Right. Yeah. So to kind of almost trust your gut a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever lost someone you truly loved? Well, before we get to that, I just want to comment on what he said about the religion and stuff. There's a couple things. I don't know if you always felt like don't trust everything you read. It feels like a newer thing with us, where we you had your Walter Cronkites of America trusted Walter Cronkite, and he was just giving you the facts. And I don't know that he's necessarily a supporter of President Trump, but he certainly likes him. President Trump spoke about Jack in particular for 5 or 6 minutes. Jack has done many tours back to France for D-Day and things, and said the only president who's ever come down and shook the hand of every veteran and looked them in the eye and talked to them. The only president, he said, I was there. Many would be seated up on a dais or something. They wouldn't come out. The only one was Trump. It's very patriotic, and I think that guys like Jack certainly appreciated that, and I can understand why. Certainly, right? But I go back to his thing about religion, and I think that some people aren't religious, but I think religion gives you a discipline. Would that be fair?
Yeah.
A tenet, the 10 Commandments, something to live by, a code.
A guide.
Religious people are pretty good people, right? They just usually, not always. I'm sure we could all come up with the example of the bad apples, but for the most part, if you had a religious neighbor who's not waving in your face necessarily, but is always polite, kind, keeps their yard, comes over to help you, does this sort of thing. I mean, this is a guy who sat here and in the podcast said, I was born in 1926 or 27, and he said that so that the Depression, and at that time he said there were families and there were no social services, so my mother would have us gather up some extra food to families that we knew, and he goes, you would go over and you'd knock on their door and then you'd run like hell because you didn't want to embarrass them. You didn't want them to know who was dropping off the food, but it was food, and that was his mom who did that, and he came from a large family. Just so, but I think, and he said his faith is what got him through the war, and that sort of thing. And I thought of you, but I thought, boy, religion, if there's a discipline, not too much of anything, not too much wine, women, cigarette, whatever it is, whatever your many people's vices are, you kind of keep that discipline. And I thought that was just an interesting answer.
Yeah, that's cool.
Him. Yeah, just an interesting answer from him. Let's see.
Yes, very unfortunately.
Oh, I asked him, has he ever lost anybody you loved?
Wife.
His wife.
And after, let's see, we were married for maybe 45 years or so.
Uh-huh.
You said 1993, you said?
Yeah, about 95, I think it was, that she died.
Yeah. If you could go back and tell her one thing today, what would you say? If you could have one conversation.
Gosh. How much I appreciated her after seeing some of these other things going on around our world.
Yeah.
She did such a wonderful job of bringing our kids up. I had one son and 3 daughters.
Yeah.
She did a wonderful job of bringing them up.
Is there anything that as you look back on your life that you regret at all?
Oh, there may have been incidences that I turned right when I should have turned left or something, but nothing of any great importance.
Yeah. Do you believe that it kind of all works out in life?
That's a good way of putting it. Eventually it will straighten out to whatever you're doing.
That's interesting. Thank you. Here's an old guy, and I only say that because think about anybody, it all works out. And if you're clinging on to something too hard and fighting against, just relax a little bit, and everything seems to work out. I don't know why.
Don't grip the bat too tight.
No,
well, because we're kind of conditioned.
Yes,
to do that.
Too bad.
And it's taken me several years to figure that out.
Well,
in my life.
How? You used to always say, "Let go and let God," which is pretty much the same theory of.
You used to say that to me.
No, I probably did. I
probably
probably
used to say
did.
that to me.
I probably did too.
And
Just
I'm
go,
like,
Jesus, Danny, just let go and let God if you're going to be.
Took him years to figure it out, though.
But no, you did. It was like early on, though. We worked together.
Yeah, I did.
Because it was a tough job, man. Because you're broke. Well, at least I was.
Yeah.
And you're getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah,
and you don't feel appreciated, not by you or Tommy, but by everybody else.
Well, there were certain times we
don't have to go back down memory lane. But the
try
point is,
to do things that would try to build the team a little bit.
Yeah.
Like if we hit a bonus and we knew you guys didn't have it, I tried to talk Tommy into each giving half of our bonus to you guys.
You did? You tried?
No. He did. We did it.
Oh, did you?
We did it. We did it once or twice.
It was right after you left.
We did it
once that I remember. Oh,
once. But didn't you get bonuses in your contract after that?
Yeah, but so here's what happened. They actually switched to that rolling model. So you had to do it like 3 books for an entire year. You had to average.
Yeah,
and then, of course, I always averaged to be number 1 in the summer. Oh, Dan, we don't give those out in the summer. Oh, dun, 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 dun.
I think I got that taken out because I had an agent at the time.
Yeah,
so.
I only got a bonus twice.
I didn't have that.
We finished number 1 several times, but I only. Yeah, but you know what? The rolling average doesn't.
But you always got the cake.
Yeah.
Well,
gosh, I hated those
You always
people.
got
it's a business kind of thing, and
I understand.
I don't.
They have people to answer to.
I don't. I will say.
Okay, I don't understand. I was just trying to be nice. I don't understand it.
I don't understand because I think that
And I would love to go back and backhand every one of them, but that's not good.
well, it's not a good
Let go
way
and
to
let
be.
God, Dan.
You're right.
Yes, you gotta really let go. Because
You do.
That bitterness can poison the well on a lot of things.
I know, but it's more
Trust
entertaining to
me.
talk about it this way.
It isn't more.
It's more
entertaining
fun to talk about it this
but
way.
I would say
Because that's how I felt at the time.
I always think for a boss, really see what motivates this team, and even if you go, hang on a second, let's give him I don't know what was your bonus. Say it was $1,000.
Right.
Give him $500. Let's show these guys that, hey, man, they're really in there cooking and doing a great job, and just something that's going to motivate. You know, I mean, there are some really fantastic bosses, and then there are some really terrible bosses. And a terrible boss doesn't mean that they perform bad. It just means that they aren't in tune and they don't care. And everything's cold and all this. And a great boss knows exactly what makes you work. And Kevin wants to be at his kid's hockey game, so if he wants to leave at 2 o'clock, that's fine. He may only make $75,000 a year, and there may be somebody else who goes, man, I'll run through walls and work Saturdays and do all this stuff, and they may make $200,000 a year. But tell me who's happier. Or maybe they're both happy. One may be a single young guy who's on the struggle, and Kevin likes spending time with family, and it's enough money, and I think that's a boss's job.
Yeah.
To know what
Find the happy
makes people
spot.
tick. What makes people tick. All right. Well, we'll take a moment. I was going to get into this thing. Revenge. Dish cold, served cold. I'm not sure how I feel about this. Has to do with the eclipse. Could it have been here? I don't know. But it certainly was somewhere where there was the totality that this happened, and someone decided they wanted revenge on this. And I'm not sure. Think of a time. Have you ever got
Revenge on the Clouds, Billy?
Well,
It's a quick revenge, 3 minutes worth.
Who was it? Scott Hetzko tweeted out, "This is Rochester for 3 hours today." It's that meme of Abe Simpson. Old man yells at cloud for 3 hours.
I think yes, but this is a revenge thing, and I'm not sure what. It just seems petty to me, and I go. Sometimes,
Well, it usually is. Revenge is
yes,
usually
it
petty.
is. But
It's always petty.
Sometimes you got to be better than that.
Yes.
Sometimes it feels good.
Yeah.
But
Like bitching about it on the podcast.
Well, I get that.
Even though it happened 15 years ago.
Iron Smoke Distillery. Man, I'll tell you what Tommy Burnett and his crew over at Iron Smoke and his wife Jen have built is amazing. They were the first establishment in the cannery, and they proved it worked. And you go there now, and
There used to be plenty of parking there.
there used to be plenty of parking. Now you've got 2 breweries. You've got Faircraft Brewery.
Yes.
And you've got, I'm forgetting the name of the other one. I was just in it over the weekend. It's on the Preservation Brewery. Thank you so much. And you got the pickleball courts. And now you've got a country bar that's coming in there. Then you've got...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
where Smoking Hot Chicks was. So there's a country bar coming in.
Oh, is that owned by the guy that we were... Oh,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
He used to have a country bar before. A couple of them.
He did.
With a bull
but
in there.
This is all in somebody else's name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope so.
Yeah. It might be... I'm trying to do an ad for Iron Smoke.
Yes.
Here. My point
Great
is,
people.
they have shown that place works, and they are an award-winning distillery. And I can't think of anywhere I know that Forbes magazine has written about one of the 10 best bourbons outside of Kentucky. And not only that, it's a great spot to go and take in some live music and stuff. I love going in there. I love getting something like the Peacemaker and then settling back and taking in some live music. Friday, April 11th, your buddy and mine, Tyler Norton, is going to be doing the Acoustic Sunset Sessions.
And he's the guy from M80s.
Yes. And I think he also does live band karaoke. Is it his band?
Yes.
Or is it part of that?
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Tyler's great. So he's going to be playing the Acoustic Sunset Sessions. And then if you're a Dead fan, starting at 8:30, Mud Creek playing all your Dead favorites.
Oh.
Yeah.
I wonder if our buddy Kano will be
I
there.
was thinking of taking it in. The Mud Creek show. I was thinking of going over
3 hours, 4 songs?
Go to Iron Smoke, have 4 drinks in 3 hours.
asses. And then on Saturday, the 13th, come back. It's Meyer and McGuire doing the Acoustic Sunset Sessions. They begin a little earlier on Saturday at 3:30. And then Branded is going to be rocking
Country.
Iron Smoke. Yeah, giddy up, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, you familiar with Branded?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. In fact, I think I played a fundraiser. I opened up for them. at one point back in 2018 for juvenile diabetes. They were the second band.
Okay.
And they're very talented.
Yeah.
Very good.
He was also never asked back.
No, we weren't.
Oh,
there's another band up here. Back to.
Okay, that'll take our revenge thing to a whole new level. I forgot all about it. I was so obsessed with the OJ and the 98-year-old Jack Foy.
I could
that
do like
forgot.
a week's worth of podcast on OJ.
Yes. Well, maybe we need to start the OJ podcast. We'll
Timing's perfect on that one.
we'll get to this revenge.
By the way, the door guy at Iron Smoke, if you want to talk about OJ, Sean, he'll talk OJ. He doesn't think OJ did it. And every time I see him, he's got a different theory as to why, and they're convincing. I don't buy it.
Well, maybe we need to get him on the podcast next week.
Okay. Maybe we should have our OJ theorists.
Yes, I'd like
We got to
that.
get Peter
Dan
on.
doesn't buy conspiracy theories? What the hell's going on in this universe?
What is going on? I feel like who are you?
Yeah,
Who are you?
I don't know who I am anymore, Billy.
We'll take a moment and be right back.
I've had a couple too many peacemakers when Dan's